After Mary McCallum's appearance on a question time where she said the SNP have got no plan B in its Section 30 order or nothing, there seems to be an awful lot of pressure thrown onto the hierarchy
Exactly. Yes.
of the SNP, and now the special conference is back on. And it's causing a bit of a stooshy with the date they've picked for it. But, you know, that's the way it is. The party's going to have this conference to have a look at a way forward.
Well, my reaction was on the night that this was on question time, I actually put up a call for an emergency conference, right? I eventually had to stop people from commenting on it because I had certain people that were arguing, we don't need a special conference. We should always be back in the SNP and what they're doing and the, you know. My point to them was at the time, look, let's not have a discussion now. Let's have a discussion where it's supposed to be at a special emergency conference.
Well, it's back anyway. It's back on for the 24th of next month, so I'll be on the party convener this.
Unfortunately, guys, I won't be there. I'll be on holiday.
Unfortunately, you'll be on holiday, and I'll have to miss the Stirling March because I'll be going to the conference. So I spoke to you this morning to get my delegates passed so to do it.
Yep.
So I'll be at that conference,
and
I'll be putting my tuppence worth in.
Yep.
As I say, the way I see it, as it should be, no, how I think this should be played out here is the general election should be used as a mandate to hold the Scottish plebiscite election just after the general election. That's the way I see it.
The reason you're saying that is because it is expected that the SNP will not gain the number of votes to carry it forward right across Westminster. Look, we gained 51, 53% of the Scottish electorate, so therefore we won it. So what is being expected is we'll definitely win the number of MPs going back to Westminster.
Yep.
So in other words, that is more than 31, I think it is. And that then would give us the mandate to be able to hold a Scottish plebiscite for independence.
Aye, the reason why I would prefer it to be a Scottish plebiscite election is because EU nationals got a vote.
Yeah. 16,
17 years get a vote.
Yeah.
And what you do is you carefully word the Westminster manifesto. You very carefully word it to make sure that it's a single issue. And the single issue is holding the Scottish plebiscite election right after the Westminster election.
Yeah.
You know, so give us a majority of MPs and we will give you a Scottish election. Give us a majority of MSPs. Give us a majority of pro-independence MSPs, because you carefully get everybody to word their manifesto the same way in the Scottish plebiscite election. And you word it to say if you give us a majority of MSPs, then we'll declare.
You'll notice that we have changed. I feel the same way as David does, right? Okay. We have changed our direction on this. At first, our direction was, no, let's go in and shout about a Scottish plebiscite. And that's it, end of. We run it October, whatever. And now we can't, because we know for a fact we're not going to get a majority of actual votes, more than 50% of votes from the Scottish people.
Well, I don't know. I think we might in that Scottish plebiscite election. I think we might.
But might doesn't cut it, does it?
But what I do know is that with the restrictions on the next Westminster election, a lot of people are not going to be able to vote.
That's right.
I mean, you know, the stats down that road. I mean, there's the Essex area, right?
Yep.
Now, there's 4 councils in the Essex area, right? And in total, there was 2,225 people turned away because they didn't have proper ID.
Yep.
745 of them, I think it was, come back with proper ID.
Yep.
The rest of them didn't get a vote.
Yep.
You know, and that's just one council area.
And
So it's two council areas in one county.
And Rees-Mogg did say that he was unhappy about that, the fact that their strategy had blown back in their faces.
Because if an elderly person gets to phone stations and turn away, they don't buy a phone station.
Yeah.
You know, not a lot of effort for some people to get a phone station to start with. But as I say, back to our situation here, whom has been forced, I think his hand's been forced on this special conference. Because of what was said in that
I'm prepared to give him the benefit of the doubt, David. It's no case of he's been forced. It's the fact that the hierarchy round about him, the ring of steel that goes round about the First Minister, the same as it did with Nicola Sturgeon, have been forced to open up and go, yeah, fine, there's got to be a special conference. I think Humza would have been for that anyway.
I don't know. I mean, the reports I'm seeing is they're talking about long grass crap again. You know,
well,
getting to 60% and sustain 60% support in the polls. You fucking forget it.
Yeah, nobody I know now wants that. There might be a few. There might be a few that want that. Oh, let's stick with Nicola's strategy of we'll build it up to actually take them to court or something like that. Nonsense. Ain't going to happen. Ain't going to happen. The gold standard that Nicola Sturgeon talked about, and anybody else that cares to talk about that, it's a load of hooky. It really is. The gold standard's never going to happen because both the Tory and the Labour leaders know and understand that Scotland is a cash cow and they will not let Scotland go under any circumstances. So therefore, they are never going to give a Section 30 order to Scotland and the people.
No, there's never. There's no one coming for Starmer. There's no one coming for a Tory. So there's going to be a different route.
Yes.
I mean, I noticed the wording in the BBC article with Keith Brown was that we need to find a way forward for a legal referendum. Well, we know the answer to that one already. You had it under international law. Sir Mark Edwell tell us this.
Mark Weller. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Sir Mark Weller, is it?
Yeah.
He tell us this. We can legally hold it under international law.
Yet again, it's a case of, right, who gets the ballot boxes out of their cupboards?
In this case, we're only running under international law, then it'll be you getting ballot boxes out of the cupboard.
No, but hear me on this, right? You've got the United Nations. Somebody puts, like Mark Weller, who was the constitutional expert for the United Nations. He goes back to his opposite numbers in the United Nations, goes, look, these guys in Scotland, they deserve a referendum. Can we give them one, right? Now then, United Nations have a wee meeting, other countries, and eventually it comes out as a majority that yes, we should help Scotland to have a referendum. Right, okay. Where does it go from there? The United Nations ordered the United Kingdom to allow Scotland to get the ballot boxes out of the cupboards. Is that what happens?
No,
or do they order the United Kingdom government to pass a Section 30 order? The actual mechanics of this process are the things that are missing, and I really need answering. Yeah.
Aye.
You get that, David? This special conference should be simply to say, right, guys, if you in the hierarchy are saying that we've got to wait for a Section 30 order, then fine. We'll place a table at the exit so everybody can hand in their passes.
Hand in the membership.
Because this is going nowhere, and I'm not interested. I'm a member of the SNP, not to get a free bridge tolls, although I'm very thankful, not to have free tuition for my kids, which I'm very thankful for, and I've got another one that's going to be going through university tuition in a year's time, right? But I'm in it for independence. That's why I'm an SNP member. If SNP are not going to give me independence, then the only thing I can do is go, well, guys, get on with it. I'm not interested.
Duncan, I don't actually agree with you there. The natural progression of the SNP feel is to move to the Greens because they're established, they've got representation, they have experience in government. People will no shift to the Alpha Party as long as Alex Salmond's in charge.
It would be the Greens I would go to.
Aye.
But, you know,
a logical step would be to move an established independence party to another established independence party. You don't go to an unestablished party with no actual experience of running Scotland.
Yeah.
You've got one guy there, Alex Salmond, the rest of them are basically unknowns.
Yeah.
You know. Whereas the Greens are established, and it's the logical step would to be to go to Greens.
Okay, so at this special conference,
aye,
when I'm not talking to you here, David, I'm talking to anybody else that might be on here that might go, right? Are you going to sit there quietly and listen to the thing being put to you that you're going to have to accept that we're going to wait for a Section 30 order? Or are you, at that conference, going to stand up en masse and tell all those on that stage that you'll do as we, the membership, say?
Well, I would be certainly standing up telling them that they would be say.
Well, you know,
and if the motion put before us is that we wait for a Section 30 order, then that motion will be voted down, I can assure you.
Well, you know, I really don't think that a motion will be offered. I think they'll do the emergency conference and the members will just be told what's going on. There'll be no vote. That's it, it'll be closed. And then what'll happen will happen. And for me, I'll be leaving the SNP. Simple as that.
Well, as I say, the Tories say they won't recognise the Greens as independent support, only SNP. But that's something you and I have been saying.
Yeah.
You know, in this next election, there isn't a split in the vote. There's no SNP 1, a different party 2. It's a first past the post election,
right.
And we'll all go to get behind the SNP. Simple as that. Because you're absolutely correct. But as I say, reading the articles I've read, nothing's off the table. Which, as I say, it surprised me that we lasted Thursday night, because Holmes had already said that nothing was off the table.
Yeah, to me that was an utter shock, because I had more or less made up my mind, we're going to get to the point of an election and it's going to be offered as a plebiscite.
Well, as I say, you know yourself, David, I put a video on Friday night and I says that the very definition of madness is to keep doing the same thing and look for a different outcome.
Yeah.
But I also see that they're also looking at independence conventions to bring Civic Scotland in as well. You'll not get Civic Scotland around the table.
Yeah.
If you think you're going to get anybody for the Labour or the Tory side of Civic Scotland around that table, you're wrong.
I mean, I don't know if any of you remember, but during the run-up to 2014, we had Labour for Independence, you know,
yes.
and this rather endearing chap, I forget his name now, he was the leader of Labour for Independence. And I even knew that were Labour for Independence and actually came campaigning. But I've got to say now, if any of you are Labour and you are figuring to be part of a campaign for Scottish independence as Labour, no. Labour will get rid of you.
Oh, they've already punched people like Alex Bell and that out of the party. They were left-wingers.
That's right. Yes.
So, well, I mean, Alex, I don't know what happened to Alex, but he ran a good campaign for Labour.
He wrote a nice letter at the end of it apologising for all those that hadn't made it, hadn't made it across the line. He was hoping to change the Scottish Labour Party.
He was, aye. As I say, to be fair with Alex, that campaign with him and all.
Yeah, from the inside.
Labour, SNP, Radical, that campaign with them all.
Yeah, it was a shame. Of course it was, right? But I think what we've got to be looking at this time is if anybody's got the idea, all of a sudden you're going to get a Labour for independence. No, you're not. If you are Labour and you've got a figuring to get independence for Scotland, you better think twice and actually start backing one of the Scottish independence parties because Labour are not.
Apparently, Salvo's got 100,000 signatures or something like that, but it's been scammed by Facebook.
Well, there you go.
I haven't heard this story. I think Gordon Ross was on about it today, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But Mark, you're right, independence is taken, not given. Obviously, being a modern democracy, you would expect your neighbours to respect democracy. But obviously they don't respect democracy, and it is going to have to be taken. And it's going to have to be taken via the ballot box somehow.
Yeah.
And that's what we'll be arguing about.
The UK has become an undemocratic, fascist construct.
And John's telling us that 300 domains bought by spooks, fake Salvo sites.
How do you know that, John?
Well, apparently Gordon was reporting on it. Well, I haven't seen Gordon Ross's report, so
yeah.
I'll have a wee listen to it later and find out. But as I say, I'll be pushing at the conference for my mandate in the Westminster election to hold a Scottish plebiscite election.
I think we've all got to be very, very realistic and use a lot of common sense. Who do we expect to open the cupboards wherein the ballot boxes reside? Is that going to be Alba? Is it going to be the Greens? I mean, anybody, right? No. The only party that we can rely on in Scotland to actually open those cupboards, get the keys out of the drawer and open the cupboards is SNP.
That one far enough with a crap with open keys and get ballot boxes out of the cupboard. Right, yeah. That one far enough.
David, hang on. However, at the moment, nobody's getting the ballot boxes out of the drawer, out of the cupboards, because at the moment, SNP are effectively saying, oh, no, we're going to beg and plead for a Section 30 order from now until you all die.
Well, for now, until they browbeat them into again, which will be in 20 years' time.
Well.
What's interesting, here's a wee start for you folks, it's interesting. Traditionally, down through the years, as people got older, they become more and more like the right wing. They seem to drift towards conservatism as they get older. Well, guess what? It hasn't happened it hasn't happened for the last 30 years. People have generally got older and stuck to the left side of politics. That must worry the Tories.
I've got a cleaner.
What's that going to do with politics? That's going to do with relative welfare.
That don't make me a Tory, no.
Oh. No, it doesn't make you a Tory. It just makes you lazy, you faker.
Oh dear.
Right, so that's who we're up, folks. I hope you found it interesting. I hope you found it informative. As I say, special conferences on, probably because of pressure that was put on. You see, David and I went with Dinger when we was after question time. We get back into our MSPs and MPs. And David's right. If the SNP don't go forward on this, and I've already said this, I said if the SNP don't go forward on this by the end of this parliamentary term, like promised, they're a busting flush anyway.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's what we as SNP members need to make them very aware of, and the fact that the membership will dissolve overnight because people are just they're pissed off now.
David, I'm trying to get away back in my life. I've given her 25 years.
I know that people are pissed off with it now, and you can imagine the people that are pissed off are still the ones that are going, no, 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 we'll keep with the SNP, fine. But eventually, if it comes out, no, guys, we're not going for this. We're going to wait until a Rishi Sunak or a Keir Starmer gives us a Section 30. It's away. Don't be daft.
I think Stephen funds it at the day. That would be the price of coalition. We know that. Listen, Labour are going to coalition with the Tories. Are probably going to coalition with the SNP. Stephen, get a grip. We're going to have to do this by ourselves.
Stephen is a very effective communicator. He's also, I saw a clip of him on the other day there, and he comes across as a really, really nice bloke, and I can see in the future him being a real driving force in an independent Scottish legislature, right? But at the moment, what he needs to realise is the Labour Party are not playing, and they're never going to play.
No, he's kidding himself on if he thinks that the SNP would be proper name up and they'll honour a Section 30 order. They'll get into bed with the Tories before we get into bed with us.
Right. Now, Keir Starmer will be going, well, we've got such and such to the vote. Let's give Rishi a phone call.